Sauce Gardner.
Sauce Gardner is a New York Jet!
Swaggy Sauce Gardner.
I love Sauce. I love his tape. I love his press technique. I love his confidence. He has everything you want to see in the position. And I think Robert Saleh and this scheme is perfect. It's a hand-in-glove fit for him, man.
Garrett Wilson.
It's Garrett Wilson! The New York Jets have just got two big-time playmakers!
I believe that Garrett Wilson is going to be the most impactful rookie receiver in this class. And I think we see Zach Wilson play like he did the last 6 games of the year, times 10, and have a phenomenal second season.
Wow, you think? Yeah! Yeah! Let's Jermaine Johnson!
Breece Hall, running back, Iowa State.
Breece Hall, oh my God, they got him! They went offense. They went with the best running back in the draft. Jeremy Rucker, oh my God! The Long Island native is a New York Jet! J-E-T-S, Jet! Let's go!
Yo, what is going on, Jets Nation? Welcome back to another Jets Media live stream. I'm joined by my man, Jack. And today is not Victory Monday, unfortunately, that we can be celebrating. Instead, we will be talking about the Jets and Bengals game. We're going to go deep into what went wrong for this New York Jets team. I have so many segments to get into in today's live stream that I really took away from the New York Jets game against the Bengals, the defensive woes, the offensive woes, Joe Flacco, who actually had a good game even though the Jets lost. There's so many things that we're going to dive deep into in this stream, and I'm really excited to do just that. Jack, how you doing, my man, on this Monday following a Jets L?
It's a tough one, man, but I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to get a couple things off my chest today, and yeah, man, should be a fun stream. Not a fun game, but always a fun stream. So thanks for having me on, man.
Always a pleasure to have you on. Shout out to everybody tuning in the chat. Please do me a favor and hit that like button on your way in. We got a really long and extensive live stream today. I know that the vibes are not as high as it was 7 days ago after that Browns victory, because the Jets go out there against the Bengals and they basically just have another non-competitive game at home, which is really frustrating. So we're going to dive deep into everything that we saw yesterday against the Bengals. So first off, I'm just going to give you my quick recap of the game as a whole before we get into the individual stuff. And then Jack, I want to allow you a chance to, allow those things off your chest, because a lot of Jets fans are feeling the same way. Listen, man, yesterday's game, it's just really frustrating that it feels like besides the Ravens game, it feels like the back-to-back weeks, this defense does not allow this offense or doesn't allow this team to have a chance to be in the game right away. First possession, the Bengals just go all the way down the field and score. It's 7-0 immediately. And right out of the gate, you can just feel that this defense is going to take a while for them to click. And unfortunately for the Jets, the defense started playing good football in the second half. And then they gave the offense some opportunities to come back. Because, guys, don't get it twisted. There's no excuse for this Jets defense the way they played yesterday. But the defense came through in the second half when we needed them. They got stops. They on fourth down, they stopped them there on turnover on downs, and they gave this offense so many opportunities to go out there and make this a one-score game. The Jets were only down by 2 scores with like 4 minutes left in the third quarter. The offense had a chance to make it a one-score game. They do not come through. Yet again, Bengals offense have the ball. The Jets defense gets a stop. Joe Flacco in the offense, they have an opportunity to make this a one-score game. And then there's boneheaded mistakes after boneheaded mistakes that are actually being handled by the veterans, like John Franklin Myers with a terrible penalty. Corey Davis with an absolutely asinine penalty that cost the Jets the game late in that game. And unfortunately for Jets fans that are watching the game, didn't even get to see it because that's when the CBS broadcast went black, which was really frustrating. So all in all, man, it's just really upsetting that, the strong suit of this team that Jack and I are so excited about to see, the entire Jets fan base is so excited to see, is not coming through, and that's the edge rushers. We do not have one edge rusher with a full sack on the season. That is absolutely ridiculous. We all know that this system is about getting to the quarterback. It's all about getting to the quarterback, And that really helps out the system. And that's simply just not the case right now. There's no pressure on the edge. The interior defensive line is doing their job. Quinnen had a big day. And unfortunately for the edge rushers, you're not going to be able to win ball games with this scheme if you're not getting to the quarterback. I mean, offensively speaking, we have a really big issue to talk about at the left tackle position. George Fant is obviously dealing with the knee issue. He had to get pulled out of the game. He was struggling. Connor McDermott's trash. Hendrickson had the game of his life. Joe Flacco couldn't do anything with him. And on top of that, Flacco is missing people wide open all over the place. So it's a really frustrating game. That's really my thoughts of it in a nutshell, in a broad term, before we get into the deep things about the game. But Jack, I'll allow you to give your thoughts about what you saw yesterday and your biggest takeaways of what went wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think really anything went right besides Greg Zerloin, right? I mean, first couple offensive drives of the game, Flacco was looking nice. I'm like, oh, are we about to see the vintage Joe Flacco today? He looks good. And then, the offense just got to its, typical Jet, stagnant, atrocious, unable to, score a touchdown. The fact that we didn't get in the end zone yesterday at home, that's just absolutely brutal, man, and totally unacceptable. We can't have games where we don't score a touchdown. I mean, that's just absolutely ridiculous. If we want to move this team in the right direction, if we're preaching all gas, no break, let's get in the end zone, number one. And the defense as well, man. I mean, the fact that we got two sacks yesterday, one from Sheldon Rankins, I believe, and one from Quinnen. And, you look at the other side, and Trey Hendrickson got 2.5 by himself, and they got 4 total sacks. So they doubled what we did. And this is against the Bengals, who are supposed to be, one of the worst, if not the worst, offensive lines in the league in terms of giving up pressures and sacks and just allowing Joe Burrow to get murdered week after week. And then you look at what the Jets defense allowed Joe Burrow to do on the opening drive of the game. I mean, he would drop back or just get it in the shotgun. Under 2 seconds. I remember them playing a graphic a couple times where they would go like time from snap to completed pass. And it was like, 1.74 seconds, 2 seconds. So, shout out to Joe Burrow, honestly, for not allowing us to really get to him. But at the same time, man, this lack of production that we're seeing from this defensive front, specifically these guys out on the edge, which, Jermaine Johnson, we've invested a premium draft pick in, and Carl Lawson, we, gave a nice little contract to. It's unacceptable, man. These guys got to be, we got to be hearing their names a lot more than we are. And then when you see Jermaine Johnson make, a useless tackle on second and whatever, and, do some stupid celebration. You know me, Rich. Nothing pisses me off more than when we're losing and somebody's celebrating for making one play. It's just, I don't know who to point the finger at quite yet. We're still very early in the season, but I'll tell you one thing, man. There's certainly a lot of questions floating around Jetsland now about Robert Saleh, about Carl Lawson, Jermaine Johnson, about Jeff Ulbrich, certainly.
Oh, yeah.
So this defense, is these guys are playing for their lives. It feels like already, and we're going into week 4. So we need to see a defensive turnaround, and it was just overall a super, super sloppy and an embarrassing day.
Absolutely. And the pass rush is the biggest issue. I will give just a quick shout out and a credit to Jermaine Johnson. He did not have a good day pass rushing, but he had one of his better days against the run. Jermaine Johnson had like 3 plays that he was dominant. He was that key guy to stop them on 4th down. And he actually graded as the highest Jets defender yesterday because of that. He had like an 88 grade against the run, 87 grade on the day. So got to give Jermaine credit there as a rookie, shown that he can step up in the run game, but definitely want to see him get to the quarterback more than just that, because we drafted him to be that guy. And there's no excuse for Carl Lawson as well. Listen, I know you're coming off an Achilles injury, but we paid you big money, and you were the talk of this team last year at training camp. And the fact that he's not getting a full sack and getting consistent pressure is definitely concerning me. So it's really, really infuriating what this Jets team continues to put on the field. And Jets fans are just going to continue and continuously, not believe in this team and not believe in the coaching staff until they prove otherwise, that we're not the same old franchise that we kept, that we're accustomed to, rather. So V-Man with the $5 donation says, Jets better beat Pittsburgh. Steelers are winless when TJ Watt is out with injury. Just glad I do not have to see Joe Flacco anymore. Yeah, that's another thing we're going to be talking about. The return of Zach Wilson seems to be on the horizon next week against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is definitely a good thing just because, Joe Flacco, I just don't want to see that guy out there. Love what he did against the Browns. Love the, his story. But this is Zach Wilson's team, as we hope. And we don't really know the full potential of this franchise until we get our starting quarterback out there. Not expecting Zach to take over and just save this franchise or anything, but it's a refreshing feeling that Zach Wilson is set to return, even though it does give us a little nerves because, all right, now it's Zach's time to really shine. So shout out to V-Man for the $5 donation. Really do appreciate the donation as always, V-Man. So the first segment we're going to get into, guys, every Monday, this stream is sponsored by Mojo. If you guys are not aware, Mojo is a brand new app that launched last Monday. That is a sports stock market, and you guys can download the app down below in the description. We're going to look at what the stock market is looking like for these players. So these are the 3 guys that are trending down on Mojo, and I'm honestly thinking about investing in these guys because when you want to invest in the players that are trending down on the market, Garrett Wilson went down 1.98% after his huge game last week. I'm not too sure why Garrett Wilson's stock is going down just a little bit because he had 6 receptions. He had 60 yards. I know that he got banged up with an injury, but he did come back and he did have a decent game. So now's the time to invest in Garrett Wilson. If you guys are on the Mojo stock market like myself, Elijah Moore, his stock market has been falling. And we're going to get into Elijah Moore because I feel like the Jets are not using him properly. Thinking that he's a 6'5" receiver throwing up 50-50 balls. We're going to get into that as well. And then Michael Carter, his stock went down just a tad in 0.70%. But the players that are rising on Mojo, Jack, Tyler Conklin, who had a very underrated game yesterday, 8 catches, 84 yards, all 8 targets. 8 catches. So that's a great sign that Conklin is catching the balls thrown to him. He's a reliable for the quarterback. Breece Hall had a really good day as well. He's rising. And then Zach Wilson's stock is rising simply because the market knows that he's returning and they're expecting him to make some type of impact. So, Jack, what's your thoughts of the 3 risers on Mojo and the 3 fallers on Mojo?
First of all, I think it's super cool that, you can do stuff like this. And I think that, I wish I would have invested in Tyler Conklin last week. I'll tell you that. As he was on my bench in fantasy this week, would have won if I started him. But look, I look at these 3 guys. I look at Conklin. I look at Breece Hall. I look at Zach Wilson. Clearly, if you've watched, the games this year, you can see why at least Tyler Conklin and Breece Hall would be on the rise. And then you obviously made the point about Zach Wilson. We're hopeful that he's going to make his return next week against the Steelers. So obviously they're thinking he's going to make some sort of an impact, as you said. So his stock is rising a bit. So I definitely think these are three guys to consider. And, happy to see that they're on the rise. And then when you look at the guys who are falling, I think that they're 3 guys to consider as well. It's tough though. At this stage of the game, we don't know what Zach Wilson is going to look like this year. So this offense, it might take a couple more weeks, as brutal as that is to say, to really see what this offense can look like at its full potential. Obviously we hope Zach's going to, come back this week and just ball out right away, but realistically that's probably not going to happen. So I think that these guys definitely, by 2 or 3 weeks from now, will definitely be trending up as opposed to trending down. So, buy low, sell high. That's the rule of the stock market. So I think these are three options to consider as well.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Conklin has officially solidified himself as the Jets' #1 tight end, even though CJ Uzomah was active. CJ got 1 catch, and it seems like the Jets are really involving Conklin. And he's had such an interesting season because, he has 2 fumbles, and luckily those 2 fumbles didn't cost the Jets. Garrett Wilson recovered the first one. Max Mitchell covered the second one. Conklin also had a couple drops, so it kind of feels like he hasn't been as productive. But numbers-wise, he's been really solid, especially coming off this day yesterday. And I know we lost, and it's not like, finding the silver lining is not what Jets fans want to hear. But the Jets have not had a true tight end in so long. So it's definitely a good sign that Conklin has really shined. And on the Mojo market, for him having a $3.83 share, I would invest in Conklin at that price, because I feel like he's only going to go up. And Breece Hall at only $10, I really feel like he's only going to trend in the right direction. And quarterbacks in Mojo are the most valued in the most valuable position on Mojo, just like it is in football. So $32 a share on Zach Wilson. If you feel like Zach Wilson is going to have a really big season this year or take some type of impact, now is the time to invest in him before he gets onto the field. Because if you invest in Zach Wilson now, and at the end of the season, he has some type of improvement, you know that this value is going to go up to at least $40+, if not $50, and you can make really good money on Mojo. So if you guys want to download the app, it is down below in the description. Again, Mojo is a sports stock market. If you're not into the traditional stock market and you don't really want to put your money there, put your money into sports where you know your stuff best. Shout out to Mojo for sponsoring today's live stream as always. So I really feel like it's an awesome app that they're doing, man, because sports stock market is really interesting. It's co-founded by A-Rod, and they got a really good thing going there. So shout out to Mojo. Invest in our guys, baby. And you can also invest on people to do you can short people's stocks, Jack. So say you're like, yeah, I don't think this guy's going to do good, so I'm going to invest on him to do crap. And if he does do crap, you win money.
Look at that. There's the yin and the yang. I like that.
You can short stocks, and obviously it's more than just Jets players. There's players all over the place that you can invest in and not. So shout out to Mojo. So
go get yourself some Tyler Conklin shares, man, because I saw CJ Uzoma catch a pass yesterday. I'm like, oh, we signed CJ Uzoma this offseason. So definitely go get yourself some Conklin shares because he's clearly the guy. And yeah, man, shout out to Mojo. Cool stuff, man.
And also, if with Conklin rising on Mojo, CJ Uzama and Jeremy Ruckert are falling on Mojo. So since Conklin has established themselves as the number one tight end on this team, the market for CJ Uzama and Jeremy Ruckert are plummeting. So that's just a little idea of what's going on with the stock market for the New York Jets. All right, guys. So the next topic I want to get into, let's get deeper into this game. But before we do that, I want to get into the chat, see what you guys are cooking up. I appreciate everybody tuning in. If you guys can do me a favor and please hit that like button for your boy. I greatly appreciate everybody tuning into the stream. I know we're coming off a disappointing loss and a disappointing game yesterday, but Jack and I are here to break it all down and give you guys our thoughts. And of course, we're going to hear your guys' thoughts at the end of the stream where you guys can join in and give us your perspective of what went wrong for the New York Jets, because I love hearing what you guys have to say. So please do me a favor, guys. Hit that like button if you did not already. We only have 23 likes with just under 100 people tuning in. So please hit that like button for your boy. We greatly, greatly appreciate that. So let's get right into the stats. So we're going to briefly talk on Joe Flacco because this is the final time we get to touch up on this guy, luckily. So Joe Flacco, 28 of 52, 285 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks, 53.8 rating. Listen, man, Joe Flacco is missing a lot of people down the field. He did not handle the pressure well. You got to give him some type of benefit of the doubt. I understand because the pressure was in his face. The left tackle position was terrible. He's a statue in the pocket. But there were so many times where there was people open. He did not give them the football. That interception he threw, where he forced it down the middle to Braxton Berrios in triple coverage, there's like 3 people wide open underneath. Don't know what he was thinking on that throw. So what was your evaluation of Joe Flacco? Because he just simply did not have his best day.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I think, going back to the beginning of the stream, as I was saying, the first 2 drives, I think it was, Flacco looked good. He was throwing darts. He was, running around a little bit, throwing on the run, throwing a laser beam on the run to Garrett Wilson as he was streaking across the field, I believe. And I'm like, okay, Flacco, let's see what you can do today. And, all downhill from there, man. Another thing that isn't on here is 3 total fumbles with 2 lost. So, you can add those 2 more turnovers to what Flacco did yesterday and, just results in a bad game. Another 50-plus passing attempts. We're forced to completely abandon the run because we're playing from behind and Flacco's running from his life because there's no offensive line help, especially in the most important position for a right-handed quarterback, the left tackle. So that's what leads to 3 fumbles right there, is just getting blown up from behind where you don't even see the guy coming. So you're not prepared for it. Ball hits the turf. 2 out of 3 of those times it goes the other way. So that's a recipe for disaster. It's a recipe for losing football, definitely not for winning football. So it's not entirely on Flacco. As I just said, that offensive line was atrocious. The left tackle specifically was very, very, very bad. George Fant was very, very bad. When they took him out, Connor McDermott was extremely bad. It was really, really tough to watch that left tackle spot yesterday.
Brutal, bro.
For the entire game. So, Flacco definitely had a bad game. But, just the offense in general was just not playing at their peak.
He just has no pocket awareness. And I feel like, after watching the game back a little bit, seeing some film and seeing some guys open, I'm really hoping that when Zach Wilson returns next week, he's going to find these guys because it's not like this Jets team, offensively speaking, are not getting open for their quarterback. Garrett Wilson's open pretty much every single time he runs a route. Elijah Moore is open a lot. So I just hope that Zach Wilson has an understanding of where the ball needs to go because Zach Wilson has a really big chance here to have a good season. The talent's around him. Now, the left tackle spot is definitely not going to go in Zach's favor, but I really feel like Zach Wilson has a big opportunity ahead of himself. But unfortunately for him, he's going up against a Pittsburgh Steelers defense that I know that is without TJ Watt, but they're a blitz-heavy team. They're like the opposite type of scheme of the Jets, where the Jets rely on four defensive front to get to the quarterback. The Steelers, they send exotic blitzes, a corner blitz here, two linebackers here, stunts. So it's going to confuse Zach Wilson. So let's hope that he's prepared if he's all cleared to go. So getting to other stats, Breece Hall had a decent day, 8 carries for 38 yards, averaging 4.9 yards per attempt. Also had 6 catches for 53 yards, finishing with 91 total yards. Michael Carter also had 11 carries for 38 yards. Tyler Conklin, 8 catches for 84 yards. All 8 targets went home. That's a good sign for the tight end. Elijah Moore, 10 targets to only 4 catches to 49 yards. Now, this is really frustrating, Jack, because I do want to get your thoughts of this. I feel like the Jets are not using Elijah Moore properly. They're using him as an outside receiver that is a jump ball guy. And now the play on 4th and 5 that we're all ripping the Jets on, where you throw the ball up to Elijah Moore in double coverage on the perimeter. The worst part about that, Jack, is Flacco had Conklin and Garrett Wilson wide open for a first down on that play. It was 4th and 5. And I'm not going to blame LaFleur there. I mean, I don't know if LaFleur was in Flacco's ears and said, test Elijah Moore one-on-one out on the perimeter, or it was just a play and then Flacco tried to be ballsy because there was 2 people open for a first down and Flacco tries to test Elijah Moore. Like, I love Elijah Moore. He's getting his separation. There's so many instances where he's literally off the line of scrimmage, is beating his guys, and he's open, but the Flacco is not finding him for whatever reason. And there are some times where Elijah Moore was getting blanketed by Awuzie because Awuzie is a talented corner. So it's really frustrating that they're not using Elijah Moore properly, and hopefully when Zach Wilson returns, it changes.
Yeah, man, I agree. Obviously the rest of this season really hinges on what Zach's able to do once he gets back. But yeah, I mean, in terms of Elijah Moore being misused, yeah, I mean, he's not that 50-50 guy, and Corey Davis is obviously the tallest receiver that we have in our starting group, but he's not really that guy either. That's never really been his thing. So I think this offense could be needing that type of receiver, But for right now, we don't have that type of receiver, so we have to adjust, and we can't play like we have, an AJ Green or a Randy Moss in their prime that's going to go up and, grab the ball over somebody's head.
Mims. We have Denzel Mims just inactive.
I was just thinking that, and it's such a shame because at this point, the Denzel Mims becoming a productive member of the Jets is just a total pipe dream, and I think that's just never going to happen. But here this guy is sitting on this roster who, we'll never really know what his full capability could have been, but it's definitely something to think about when you see, Elijah Moore, as talented as he is, he's a small stature guy as far as receivers go. To see him, getting the looks that he's getting, that's just not how he should be used.
Yeah, I agree, man.
And it's going to lead to some. I think it's going to lead to some frustration throughout the year. Hopefully we can get to a point where both Garrett and Elijah Moore can have, good games at the same time. But I think right now it feels like kind of one or the other. And Garrett Wilson kind of has the hot hand right now. So Elijah Moore is not really getting those looks. I think it also goes back to what I was saying on last week's stream when you watch Joe Flacco drop back, and I feel like he really doesn't scan the field. I mean, obviously he doesn't have a lot of time to scan the field, but he's got his primary read. So I'm thinking on that play, his primary read was definitely Elijah Moore. And he just stared down Elijah Moore until he thought he saw enough of a window to try to force a ball in there. And, we saw how it ended. So things like that. Hopefully, Zach Wilson with his ability to kind of extend plays with his legs. Hopefully, he'll be able to get out of trouble a little bit. And then, there's Tyler Conklin wide open over the middle of the field, or there's Elijah Moore, or there's anybody. I'm not biased towards any of these guys, but to see Elijah Moore being misused when we know the potential he has, it's definitely frustrating, man. Seeing like we have Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis, Tyler Conklin, Michael Carter, Breece Hall. No touchdowns scored yesterday. Come on, man. Like,
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. It can't be.
Listen, I know that the scapegoat right now is blaming Ulbrich and the defense, and they deserve the blame, but this is a team loss, man. I said at the beginning, I said it to start off the stream, man.
Into the third quarter.
This offense had every single opportunity handed to them. A missed field goal by McPherson, a turnover on downs, the defense forcing a punt, all in the second half. The defense gave up 7 points in the second half. And you know what those 7 points were, Jack? That was from Joe Flacco having a strip sack and the Bengals recovering the ball in the red zone. And the defense gave up a touchdown. You can't ask them to do everything. So, listen, it really is infuriating. There's so many things that did not go our way. I want to give a quick shout out to Monster of the Midway, Johnny, for becoming a YouTube member of the Jets Media family. Thank you so much, my man. Welcome to the Jets Media Club. I appreciate you as always, man. Now, let's just talk about Garrett Wilson real quick, and I want to show this route because, Jack, I remember yesterday we were talking at Frankie's house, and you were like, yo, Rich, remember that route that Garrett Wilson had over the middle? How beautiful it was. So let's put that on the screen, and let's just talk about Garrett Wilson real quick. Now, Garrett Wilson, oh, my gosh, thank you for being healthy because that was terrifying.
Yeah, man, 2 weeks in a row, this kid's getting shaken up a little bit, but he's back.
Man.
He's back.
He's a tough kid, man. So just look at Garrett Wilson's separation here. Like
5 yards of separation.
Like
he gets the ball in his hands.
It's just so beautiful to see, like his release off the line of scrimmage. Like he sets him up to, like it looks like he's going to run a little out towards the sideline, and it's so subtle. And he just quickly, I mean, look at that. It's man coverage, and that's the separation he has.
He just explodes off that outside foot and just cuts it back inside the numbers, and it's just beautiful to watch.
It really is, man. So like in a terrible season, I mean, not a terrible season, but a terrible game yesterday, rather. Garrett Wilson continues to show that he definitely has what it takes to be the Jets' long-term answer at that number one spot with Elijah Moore. 10 targets, 6 catches, 60 yards, and he didn't really get a lot of opportunities after he went out with an injury. I feel like if he didn't get – and even on that injury, Jack, I mean, he held on to that football. Like Joe Flacco set him up to get murdered over the middle, and he eats that. He's in pain, but he holds on to the ball for the first down. Like Garrett Wilson showed me a lot yesterday in terms of his toughness, in terms of his grittiness, and in terms of his will to just like do everything in his power to try to win this Jets some games.
Yeah, dude. I mean, let's be real. I mean, we're at the age now where these rookies are like a couple years younger than us, and that's just crazy to think about in its own right. But I mean, can you imagine how terrifying it's got to be like 22 years old and suit up and, you're out there playing with grown ass men who have been in the league for, 7, 8 years plus. And he's just, taking a hit like that over the middle, securing the ball. Yes, he got banged up. We hate to see it. We were all, terrified for a little bit there. And then when you see him trot back out on the field, you're like, dude, this kid's a baller. So, we'll see how this year goes in terms of, how many wins we can get in the win column. But I think that, we're already seeing, star potential in one of our first round picks. So, 2 with Sauce as well. But we're talking Garrett Wilson right now. So I think we got a little gem here. So I'm just hyped about this kid, man.
Well, I'm happy you bring up Sauce because Sauce was the next player we were about to bring up. Sauce Gardner had a very big day. Listen, guys, it wasn't all positive stuff yesterday, but what Sauce Gardner did to Jamar Chase really gets me excited as a Jets fan. It should give Jets fans some excitement, man. It wasn't a perfect day for Sauce, but how awesome is it to see Sauce Gardner in the head of one of the best young receivers in the league in Jamar Chase? I mean, that play that he had on Jamar down the field to get that pass breakup, you cannot ask for a better experience from your rookie corner. And he had another pass, a PBU on third down. That was so impressive. He did give up a long completion to Higgins, But listen, corners are inevitably going to get beat. And what Sauce showed me yesterday is that he can absolutely step up to the occasion against one of the top receivers in the league and show why he's him and why he's stepping up to be the 4th overall pick. If there's 2 guys that look like the best players in the Jets, Jack, is it our 2 first-round rookies in Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson?
As of right now, 3 weeks in, yeah, dude, it is. And that, in a way, that's, so awesome, and we couldn't ask for anything better. But in another way, you're thinking, all right, vets, where you guys at? Like, let's see it. But in terms of just pure excitement, yeah, I mean, Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson are 1A and 1B right now, I think.
And it's just so frustrating, Jack, because the veterans are disappointing this season. The veterans are absolutely disappointing.
Yeah.
John Franklin Myers with that penalty. Corey Davis with that penalty. LaMarcus Joyner not looking like a good
football player.
Hold on. We got a donation that I missed. Danger Cobra with a $5 donation. Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate it. He says, did you hear Bart Scott after the postgame say we should start Flacco for the Steelers game? Yes, I heard that. Listen, man, that post-game show, I love SNY, and I always watch their pregame. I love that Connor Rogers is on there now. Steve Gelbs is my guy. But listen, man, Bart Scott and Willie Colon saying that Flacco should start next week makes no sense, man. I mean, even after what we saw from Flacco, I understand where they're coming from, that Flacco knows how to deal with blitzes, but Zach Wilson's the 2nd overall pick in the draft. Like, we need to see what this guy can do. I don't care that it's against a blitz-heavy Steelers team. I don't care that we don't really have a left tackle. Zach Wilson needs to go out there. Injuries are a part of the game. He needs to learn on the fly. And if he's cleared by the doctors, he's starting. So no matter what Bart Scott had to say, Zach Wilson's playing on next Sunday, if he gets cleared by the doctors, which should be announced today.
Yeah, I think that if we won yesterday, you could make the argument for Flacco. I would still say you're crazy, and I would want Zach Wilson out there 100% because this is his team moving forward. And like you said, he's the 2nd overall pick. But, I mean, the fact that we took a terrible loss yesterday and Flacco had 4 total turnovers, I mean, sorry, Bart and Willie Colon, but you guys are absolutely nuts on that take. It's Wilson time.
Yeah, man, it really is frustrating. Now, talking about veterans, Jack, on the team, there's one veteran that I've been very impressed with so far, not only with his play on the field, but his post-game press conference yesterday. You want to, Jack, you're really big about this. Accountability, right? DJ Reed had a phenomenal press conference, and I'm going to play for you guys in just a bit. Just give me a second before I can download it. So DJ Reed has been probably one of the best players on this Jets team this year. Not only has he been a baller on the field, but he seems to be knowing what he's doing off the field. Now, my favorite part about this press conference is, number one, DJ Reed is coming from winning organizations. He knows what it's like to be around a winning football team. He came from San Francisco, came from Seattle. He knows something is wrong right now, and he's demanding the entire defense to have a meeting. Not just the players, not just the coaches. The players and the coaches figure it out because there's way too many miscommunications for this to continue. Last week against the Browns, we had a miscommunication in the end zone. Like, okay, early in the season, we have a rookie Sauce Gardner. That's going to happen. They'll clean that up. But for that same exact situation to happen and Jamar Chase to have a wide open touchdown the way he did, that's really concerning. And I feel like Jets fans should be happy to hear that DJ Reed is stepping up and he's becoming a leader for this team and demanding this franchise to figure it out. So listen to DJ Reed speak to the media yesterday in the locker room, and here's what he had to say.
Defense, because this is unacceptable. Like, the mental errors are unacceptable from the coaches, from the players, everybody that's a part of this, including myself. It's unacceptable. So we got to have a meeting and just talk about everything. Whether what we're doing is too much, either we're not over communicating, we gotta cut it out. Like, we gotta get it right. Like that has to happen. Has to happen.
So DJ Reed sees something's wrong, and the miscommunications is just totally inexcusable. And like he said, he doesn't know if they're doing too much, if they're not doing enough, and I don't know what the issue is. So Jack, what's your thoughts about DJ Reed and his awareness that there's something wrong with this coaching staff and the communication with the players?
I mean, I love the fact that he called out the coaching staff, number one. And I don't want to say like that, like, oh, he called out the coaching staff. No, he's just saying, this is a team all phases, myself, the rest of the players, the coaching staff, we're all responsible for the product that we put out on the field. So, that's an intelligent, sentiment from DJ Reed there. But, no, I think, it starts with the coaching staff, obviously. Salah's got, that seat is starting to warm up a little bit, Robert Saleh. We need to see some defensive improvement. Nobody expected, a lights out Kansas City Chiefs offense with Robert Saleh as our head coach, but what we did expect is a monstrous, can't run the ball or do anything on us. Elite pass rush, stuff it down your throat defense. And that we have not gotten whatsoever from Robert Saleh. So, it definitely starts with the coaching staff. I mean, Robert Saleh, who knows, man? I mean, I still have faith in him. I really do think he has all the traits to be a successful head coach, but you can certainly ask yourself the question, is he better suited to being a coordinator? Is this head coach role too big for him? We saw his defense play at an elite level in San Francisco as the defensive coordinator when his entire role in life was responsibility for the defense and the defense alone. I think the answer to this question is no, but you can ask, is this role too big for Robert Saleh? Just based on the evidence we've seen so far. We had a bad year last year. First of all, the 32nd overall defense last year. I mean, that's not the Saleh that we thought we were going to get. And then, this year it's, trending like we're going to be, in the very bottom of the league again. So, there's definitely questions to be pointed at the coaching staff and, these players as well, the safeties. LaMarcus Joyner has been playing consistently bad. Whitehead, although, he can make a big hit here and there. What do we see?
Terrible yesterday.
Totally gave up. He totally gave up that long touchdown.
So speaking of that long touchdown, Jack, and you also bring up, this Jets players calling out the Jets coaching staff. Let's talk about the Quinnen Williams situation yesterday when he was livid on the sidelines. So basically, for those guys that are not aware of this, what happened and why Quinnen Williams is upset. That play, that touchdown that Jack was alluding to with that missed tackle from Whitehead and Michael Carter that resulted in that long touchdown, the Jets called a 7-man blitz. It was basically man coverage with a single high safety. That is not in their scheme. That is not a traditional type of play. And Quinnen Williams was so upset with the coaching staff for calling that, and Quinnen Williams was livid and got into the coaching's face and challenged the coaches to demand stick to the game plan of doing a 4-man rush. Now, the cool thing about this is the Jets' 4-man rush was not doing anything before this play. After this play, the 4-man rush was getting home. Quinnen gets a sack, and that's when the defense turned it up a little bit. So here's the clip of Quinnen Williams challenging the Jets defensive line coach that was going viral all over.
Logan Wilson, and this was during the break in the action as the Jets' Quinnen Williams was sharing his opinion. Players got in between.
So basically, it seems like there's something going on, but when you learn the context of the situation, it makes a lot of sense because Quinnen, as a leader of this defense, is upset with the coaching staff for calling an all-out blitz, abandoning the scheme, and showing not trust in their 4-man rush. And right when Quinnen got into the face and told the defensive coaches to stop blitzing and to trust that 4-man rush, that's when that defensive line started getting to the quarterback. That's when the defense was actually getting their stops. So I'm on Team Quinnen here. I like that fire. You don't like to see that type of, environment on the sidelines. Definitely not a positive thing, but it shows me that the players are stepping up and they're not allowing this coaching staff to just make boneheaded mistakes, because why are they calling an all-out blitz in that situation? And that if they didn't call that all-out blitz, Jack, that would not have been a touchdown, because when you send 7 men, you do not have a good chance unless you get home. And that's why Quinnen was upset.
Yeah, man, I got to be honest with you, dude. I'm going to disagree. And it's rare that we disagree on Jets related things, but I'm on I don't even know what that guy's name. I'm on Team Coach for this one. First of all,
coach?
Yeah. I think that's it's you can't, I don't care how upset you get, how passionate you get, and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and put that off as passion for Quinnen, because I know he wants to win and I know he wants to be elite. But that's a terrible look. You can't put that on the air. You can't have that on the sideline of your home stadium as you're down in a game. It's a terrible look. You can't have that. Whatever the situation is, you just can't have that, period. Number two, I think, obviously, first of all, I'm putting that touchdown on Whitehead. You got to wrap up. You got to make that tackle. This isn't the WWE. You're not trying to make the ESPN top 10. Wrap up and save the touchdown at least, And I'm also in the school of thought that, the 4-man rush was so unproductive to that point. I guess the only option to try and get to Joe Burrow was to send 6-7 guys at him. I can totally see the school of thought that you're saying, because yes, Quinnen did get a sack right after that, but where was the pass rush production before that, So I can definitely see both sides, but I'm just leaning more towards the other side in this one, man.
No, it makes sense because the coaching staff saw the 4-man rush not being successful, and they called a blitz, and they challenged the Jets players, and they said, if you're not going to do what we need you to do, we're going to start setting pressure, because if the 4-man rush cannot get home, we're going to start sending those type of blitzes. It's just weird that they go from sending 4 men to 7 men. Like, there's no in between. Like, I feel like that was a really bold call from Ulbrich. He really does not have those type of blitzes packaging thrown that way, and it really caught the Jets players off guard, I guess, which resulted in that big explosive play. And you're right. There's no excuse for the Jets to not tackle that player. I mean, I don't know if it was Boyd or Higgins on that touchdown run, but Whitehead's got to wrap up, and it's not a good look. I do not think that's a good look at all. When I first saw that, I'm like, here we go again. You do not want to see your own player go into your face of your own defensive line coach as they butt heads. It's not a good look for the franchise on the sidelines. It's not what you want to see. But it really is, for Quinnen Williams to trust in his players and trust in the scheme and the trust in their guys to get the job done, and for him to challenge the coaching staff to stick to the scheme, and then for them to pull through eventually, that's something you want to see. But at the end of the day, they got to do a consistent full 4-quarter game, because this football team has been doing way too bad in terms of consistency throughout a 60-minute game. There's 4 quarters. There's not a half of football that needs to be played. The Jets defense played a terrible first half. They played a good second half. You need to be able to play all 4 quarters, and that was the biggest problem with this defense all throughout the season so far. So Kyle with the $5 donation, I appreciate you, my man. He says Steelers are 0-6 without TJ Watt. Best time for Zach to come back. I agree, Kyle. It is a good time, but at the same token, I feel like Jets fans cannot underestimate the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin is one of the best coaches in the league. And I know that they have Mitch Trubisky. I know that they have a struggling offense, and I know that TJ Watt's not there. But the Steelers are looking at the Jets right now and like, oh, this is a perfect team to go up against with their first young quarterback getting back out there. Let's get back on track, because they're looking at the Jets that this is going to be, an opportunity for them to get back on track. But on the same token, it is a really good opportunity for the Jets. The Steelers are 0-6 without TJ Watt. Their offense has been trash. So this could be a really good opportunity for this defense to get back on track and really, establish their identity, because we're going up against Mitch Trubisky in a struggling offense with the Steelers. So the Jets have a chance, man. But if they can win against the Steelers and they go 2-2, that is the best case scenario, obviously.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's so crazy that, even after this atrocious loss, like, we still have an opportunity to come out of this AFC North stretch at 500. Which is so wild to me, dude. I mean, the fact that we squeaked out that win against Cleveland is still so huge. And as decimated as we feel as a fan base after a loss like yesterday's, early in the season, Zach Wilson is coming back. So we'll see what happens, man. But you know me, I'm a huge Mike Tomlin guy. Probably the most underrated head coach in football. 15 years without a losing season. Steelers always manage to be in the mix at the end of the year. And, it's going to be a tough, hard-fought game, especially in Pittsburgh. But we'll see how it goes, man. Hope is still in the air.
Listen, man, I think a big thing that we have to take in consideration about that Steelers game real quick is I think it's going to be a defensive game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring, gritty contest in Pittsburgh. And the Jets just got to come away with that victory, because I personally don't think the sky is falling right now. I know that we're a passionate Jets fan base, and every time we lose and look the way we did yesterday, we're going to be upset. We have every single right to. But being 1-2 with a backup quarterback, finally getting our starter back, getting that victory the way we did last week against the Browns, I know is a miracle, and I know it wasn't pretty. But for the Jets to get their young quarterback back, they have a big opportunity to get to 500. I do not think that the sky is falling. I think that there's a lot of issues that is very fixable. And we're going to get deeper into that as the stream goes on, of course. But the big problem, Jack, that I'm very concerned about with this Jets team so far is their left tackle. So now,
brutal.
I personally cannot blame Joe Douglas right now. Want to know why? Because you cannot blame him for injuries. Mekhi Becton had no injury history in college. Dwayne Brown has been a rock his entire career, the most durable tackle there is. He goes and gets him. He gets hurt. George Fant, he's hurt. So that left tackle spot is just one of those situations where the Jets have no luck. So they go out there, they have Mekhi Becton, George Fant. We all know the situation, and now Fant has been nursing that knee injury. He's not himself. Now Connor McDermott, who's like their fourth string tackle, looks terrible. Now this is a big issue because we need our blind spot for our quarterback to be a rock. Now, I don't know what they're going to do, whether signing somebody off the street or George Fant can get, that knee healthy and ready to go because he does not look like himself out there. So what's your thoughts about the left tackle position? Because this is definitely a big problem as the season progresses.
Yeah, dude, I miss talking about Joe Douglas. It feels like since the season started, we're all in on the players and Salah, obviously. But off season, it was like all Joe Douglas all the time. So Joey D, shout out. And yeah, I totally agree. You can't blame him for this. You can't blame him for injuries. Can't blame the coaching staff for injuries. But it doesn't make it suck any less, right? I mean, Mekhi Becton still hopeful about this guy, and then boom, season-ending injury before the season even begins. For basically the second time in his career now, because he played in like one half or one quarter last year. So my Mekhi Becton hopes are pretty much dwindling to nothing at this point. We signed a guy like Dwayne Brown. We're like, all right, Joe Douglas, let's go. He can get a guy like Dwayne Brown fill in. Oh, Dwayne Brown's gonna miss some time. We'll see when he can get back. Come on, Dwayne. Let's see ever. Hurry up. And then yeah, you see what happened yesterday. I mean, Fant, has not looked like himself this year. It's tough when we're asking a lot of George Fant at the end of the day. And he's not going to be perfect all the time. Maybe we've tapped George Fant out. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, man, because he's had two really, really good seasons for us in a row now where we're just kind of, we put him wherever we need to at the time. And, now here it goes again. And, maybe that's just exhausting mentally for his game. Who knows? I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt because we know what he can do. We've seen him be great for us pretty consistently. So now that we're seeing him, play pretty consistently in the other direction, and then leave the game with an injury yesterday was definitely not what we want to see. And then obviously no one was expecting big things from Connor McDermott when he came into the game, but to see him get absolutely blown up the way he did was just like, all right, what are we doing here?
Oh my God.
It was just brutal.
With the statue of Flacco.
Yeah, dude, it was just a recipe for disaster. So we'll see how it goes, man. This is what, playing in the season is all about. You have to deal with adversity, you have to deal with injuries. Every team has to deal with it. Once again, it always feels like we're dealing with it a little bit more, but at least these rookies that are getting banged up are not, suffering any serious injuries. At least there's a silver lining there.
That's a big positive, man. We're staying healthy for the most part, but unfortunately, probably the two most important positions in football has been hurt for the Jets, in the quarterback and the left tackle. So it's like we're healthy. And then, of course, we're going to get to Jimmy's donation quickly. The one player on defense, Jack, that was impressing me yesterday gets hurt, and that's Quincy Williams. He was everywhere. He was making stops. He was making big hits. I'm like, let's go, Quincy. Like, you came to play. And I remember, like, hyping him up. Like, guys, Quincy's playing one of his best football games, and then he makes a big play, and his ankle's gone. So
he still finished with the second most tackles yesterday.
Oh my God. It's really, really frustrating that, of course, the one bright spot of the defense yesterday, and there wasn't a lot of that, has to go down with an injury. So let's hope that Quincy's injury is not long term. But Jimmy, who has a $2 donation, says thoughts on the coaching staff. Listen, man, the coaching staff has a lot to prove. They have not proved anything yet. They're still, they're in year number 2 of the scheme, and they're all learning on the fly. They're coming off, the honeymoon is over for Robert Saleh and LaFleur and Ulbrich. We gave him that year of a trial with the rookie quarterback, and the rookies all over the place. And now when you're in a market like New York, fans are going to start getting impatient. And it's early in the season, so I'm not writing off the coaching staff yet and saying like, okay, fire everybody. But I'm giving him this full season, and they have a lot of proving to do because it seems like they're getting outcoached, and it seems like they're getting out schemed, and that's an issue. And they don't have the right, the mindset right now, because I think that, the Jets fans had every single right to be hyped up going into the season because of the job that Joe Douglas did and the personnel in terms of getting talent on this roster. I do not think the talent is an issue on this team. I really don't. That stems to the coaches. So they have a lot of proving to do, and they have not proved anything yet. This Jets team is still going to be mocked. This Jets franchise is still going to be looked at as the same old Jets until we start winning and getting consistent days and getting wins that are meaningful, right? We do not want to go into November, December losing, and we get a win, and it's like our 4th win, and it doesn't really mean anything, and we're hyping it up. So this is the season where this Jets coaching staff needs to, wake up, because by the end of the season, guys, what we need to know as a fan base to make us feel better is Robert Saleh and his coaching staff the one? Is Zach Wilson the one? Now, I don't think we're going to get the 100% answer at the end of the season, but we're getting an idea, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, dude, I agree. I think this coaching staff is, you're totally in the right to, throw any sort of questions about these coaches out there. They haven't really proved anything yet. Obviously, we're hopeful about this regime. We're hopeful about Robert Saleh. We're hopeful about LaFleur. Jeff Ulbrich's seat is really starting to warm up, it seems like. But yeah, man, I mean, you gotta, it's tough, man, because, we want to see winning football, and we want to see it now because, I always say this isn't baseball. This isn't basketball where there's like, multiple times a week where you get to, sit down and catch a game and watch your team play. These games are sacred. It's 17 games, one a week. We want to see winning football. We don't want to wait. We don't want to keep waiting. But at the same time, when you have all these inexperienced players mixed with inexperienced coaches, it takes time, man. It takes time. So it's the unfortunate reality of the situation. I keep hanging on to my hopes of unfortunately the Buffalo Bills and what they've been able to do.
It's like a lot of time, man. That's like a lot of time.
Yeah, keeping it consistent and keeping continuity in the building. So it's my brain flops back between a rational thinker like that, who wants to give these guys more time, and then just your typical New York football fan who's just like, fire everybody, get them all out. So I think that, hopefully we can get, 6-7 wins by the end of this year, and then I'd feel comfortable giving it another shot next year, for sure. So we're just gonna have to wait and see, man. But there's still everything left to prove. So who knows?
Yeah, they have a lot of proving to do, and nobody in this fan base is sold, and they shouldn't be. There could be still belief, there could still be faith. Like I got faith and I have belief that the Jets coaching staff has what it takes, but they haven't proved me to have confidence in saying they are the one. And I'm not going to be a delusional Jets fan and just crown them as the future coaching staff of this team. I do think that this Jets the Jets are going to give this coaching staff another year unless they just win like 3 games or 4 games or something really, really bad. I think they're going to give this regime at least 3 years because it really is hard to give a coaching staff time to develop players where you're building this team from the ground up only 2 years. Because you got to give a coaching staff 3 years to allow these players to develop into their full potential. Because if you're building through the draft and you're building a team instead of buying a team, you're not going to be able to see success as we want to see in the first 2 years. This is the reality of it. When I say success, I mean playoffs. So I think that you got to give this coaching staff 3 years in total in terms of like, we're in year 2. I think that this coaching staff is going to be here next year, regardless of what happens, unless it's just like all of a sudden we're getting our ass kicked every single week, which I'm not expecting. But a lot of bad things is going to have to happen for this coaching staff to be fired this offseason, in my opinion. I feel like you got to give them more time. You got to give them at least year 3 with their young quarterback, with this young system, with Sauce in year 2 and Garrett and all these guys. And I know I'm thinking way too in the future. We have a lot of things to talk about in the now, but that's really how I feel with this Jets regime. They have a lot of proving to do, and nobody on this in this fan base should believe that they are the one yet, because they haven't really proved it. And that's totally reasonable. And I totally hear everybody that is really pissed off about it. So, but the biggest concern I have, Jack, so far is, the boneheaded mistakes. The boneheaded mistakes. Like, for example, John Franklin Myers' penalty. That was a big, big turning point of this game, man. It was 3rd down. We get a stop. We're all cheering. We're all cheering, and then there's a flag, and you see the flag. And yes, John Franklin Myers, he definitely could have not put his hands on Joe Burrow there, but he like barely touched him. I get it. It's the modern NFL. They're gonna call a flag there, but I guess he's got to be aware of that situation and just not do that. Like that, and the Corey Davis penalties. Like the fact that it's their veterans and it's not like a young rookie or a young year 2 players making boneheaded stuff like that. That's concerning, man. These are the veterans that are supposed to be, setting the example for the future of this franchise, setting the foundation of this team of where their identity is supposed to go. And instead they're losing them in that football game. And guess what happens after that John Franklin Myers penalty, Jack? It's that long touchdown that gave up.
I know.
So they just keep hurting themselves. It feels like the Jets are losing these games.
I know, and it's concerning, and it's incredibly frustrating because, like you said, we go from getting off the field, and it would have been a punt, and the next play goes for a 50+ yard touchdown, however long it was. So the fact that it's coming from a guy like JFM, who's a veteran, who we paid, who we might have overpaid, because where you at, JFM? And it's frustrating. Corey Davis got a nice little contract. Corey Davis seems to be the king of garbage time.
Did you see that the Corey Davis penalty? Because the CBS broadcast was blacked out, so you probably didn't even see it.
Honestly, dude, I don't think I did.
Yeah, I just saw. Yeah, you probably didn't, because I just saw it on Twitter today because no one on the broadcast saw it. Dude, I wanted to punch myself in the face after seeing this. So basically,
Twitter real quick.
Go to Michael Nania. He tweeted it out. So basically what happened when the CBS broadcast blacked out, if you remember, Breece Hall had a great run. Breece Hall broke free, and then the Jets are in the red zone, and the Jets have an opportunity. 2-possession game early in the 4th quarter. The Jets have a chance to score a touchdown and make this a 1-possession game. It's 2nd and 6. Joe Flacco throws a ball incomplete. And instead of being 3rd and 6 in the red zone, Corey Davis grabs the face mask of a Bengals player for no reason and is tugging his face mask after the play, gets called for unnecessary roughness. Instead of a 3rd and 6 that it's in reasonable position in the red zone, it turns into 3rd and 16, which results in just a nightmare. What the hell?
3rd and 21, actually. I'm watching
3rd and 21
right now. Absolutely brutal, guys.
What is he doing? Like, bro, like that is totally ridiculous.
And so ridiculous. Honestly, thank you, CBS, for blacking that out, because I might have put a hole through my friend's wall yesterday if I saw that on the TV screen.
Yeah, wow. That's the stuff that really, because if CD does not make that play, and who knows even if the Jets would have scored a touchdown based on how the offense looked, but that play doesn't happen. It's 3rd and 6. Say Garrett Wilson makes a play and Joe Flacco gets him for the touchdown. It's a 1-score game. And guess what? The defense at that time was balling out. They were clicking. The defensive line was clicking. They were getting to Joe Burrow. They were stopping the Bengals offense finally. Like, don't get it twisted. This defense sucked yesterday, but the defense came in when we needed them to in the clutch. So if that penalty didn't happen, and I hate talking about what ifs, but I'm just saying how big of an impact a penalty is to that team, man. That's totally inexcusable stuff right there.
One penalty, man. One penalty. And it's, it's obviously a big game of what ifs, because who knows if we would have scored on that 3rd and 6, but you just can't do that. You can't take it from a 3rd and 6 to a 3rd and 21 because you're losing your cool because of whatever that guy said or did or whatever nonsense. Dude, you're a veteran. You were the 5th overall pick in the draft when you were taken. And you've never really lived up to that hype in any sort of way. So you need to be humble. You need to be quiet. You need to not cost your team yards in, potentially game altering situations like that. So the opposite of what you want to see from a person who's supposed to be a veteran, leader like Corey Davis. So just between that, the nonsense with Quinnen yesterday, those are two vets. Those are two leaders in their respective sides. And JFM as well, we'll throw in there. So Quinnen, JFM, Corey Davis.
I mean, Quinnen actually had a really good game, like on the field.
Quinnen didn't cost us yards, but it just seemed like, what's up with everybody, losing their cool a little bit. That was just a total frustration penalty from JFM. You could tell,
Yeah, dude. It's
just not a good look from 3 people who we really want to be very solid yesterday. Even though Quinnen, obviously, yes, he did not have a bad game, but I just hated everything about that.
Yeah, of course. You do not want to see our own player in the face of our own coach. That is definitely not a good look at all. Listen, man, the Jets defense, they cannot start off worse. And they sucked in the first half, but they gave them a chance in the second half, and the offense blew it. And I'm going to continue saying that because it really frustrates me that this offense just bites himself in the foot. And we just broke down what happened that really hurt the Jets with that Corey Davis penalty. So the Jets, they go 1-2 to start off the season with a backup quarterback. Joe Flacco is their guy. They go 3 games against the AFC North. They go 1-2, and now enter Zach Wilson. So we should be getting word that Zach Wilson is going to start against the Steelers. It's not going to be official till the doctors clear him, but if it's not announced already, it should be announced shortly. So listen, Jack, it's really hard to put expectations on this young player in Zach Wilson. But what do you want to see from the year 2 player in his debut this season from Zach this week against the Steelers if he gets the stripe? What type of things that you want to see from him that he needs to learn that like Joe Flacco was ass at basically, and Zach Wilson needs to do better at? Because Zach Wilson has a chance here because outside the left tackle spot, this offense has been clicking. The offensive line in the run game has been doing their good job. ABT and Max Mitchell is holding down that right side in the run game. The wide receivers are getting open. Garrett Wilson is open every time he runs a route. Tyler Conklin is looking like a really good tight end for Zach Wilson to rely on. So what do you want to see from Zach Wilson in his debut this season next week against the Steelers?
Yeah, well, I think the one thing that we've all been talking about is the obvious difference between Flacco and Zach is the escapability aspect, not being a statue in the pocket. So if you watch the tape on Zach last year, sometimes we actually wished that Zach would stand in the pocket a little bit more. But, I think that, clearly we have because you can't really rely on the left side of this offensive line. It seems like they're too inconsistent, especially that left tackle spot. And the center play as well has been awful from McGovern. So pretty much from center over, it's a little sketchy, man. So obviously the escapability factor in Zach's game is going to, give us the chance to extend some plays and hopefully find Tyler Conklin streaking over the middle or find Garrett Wilson, running the corner route or whatever it is to be able to extend plays and gain positive yards from a broken down play. Obviously we know Zach is going to be much better at that than Joe Flacco. But, I think that Flacco does have that, that veteran knowledge, that presence in the pocket, although he's a complete statue. When he does get protection, he's able to sit back and, throw a laser beam. That's the kind of things that I want Zach to take from Joe Flacco's game a little bit. Obviously, when the opportunities are there, it really all depends on how this offensive line is going to block for Zach. But I think that, Zach has just got to come back, keep a cool head. It's going to be very shaky. I think it's probably going to be a loss if I had to guess. I know everybody's saying, 0-6 without TJ Watt. I don't know, man. we couldn't score a touchdown yesterday. So I'm just hoping that we can get a touchdown against the Steelers. That would be an improvement, right?
The one thing I want to see from Zach this week is simple, man. We talk about his escapability and all that stuff physically that he has. Cool. But I need to be able to see Zach Wilson process things. I need to be able to see Zach Wilson find the open men. I need to see Zach Wilson not get rattled by blitzes because the Steelers are going to try to confuse the hell out of Zach Wilson by showing this type of look. And Zach studied this on film and is expecting one thing. And then when the ball snapped, the Steelers do something completely opposite. That's what really good veteran defenses do with TJ Watt or without TJ Watt. They have a ball hawk in Minka Fitzpatrick who is destined to pick off Zach Wilson probably. So Zach Wilson needs to learn. And listen, guys, I don't want to, sound like I'm expecting him to struggle, but the reality is there's going to be rust for Zach Wilson to shake off. The unfortunate reality is Zach got hurt at the worst time. He had no summer. He gets hurt in the first preseason game. He had no live bullets in training camp with what's it called? Joint practices. Sorry, that came out of me. So he had no opportunity to go up against other defenses. So this is going to be his first time in this Jets offense this season against a live opponent defense. Now it's going to be rusty for Zach. What I want to see Zach do, get rid of the ball quickly. And don't be indecisive. Trust your reads. Trust your eyes. Don't stare at one receiver and throw him the ball. Look people off, because the one thing that Joe Flacco does that I like is his anticipation, is his timing, and looking off receivers and knowing, it wasn't perfect. Joe Flacco missed a lot of opportunities, but Zach Wilson needs to get that mental approach and be able to process things quickly, because I like his athleticism to help him out, but your physical athleticism, Jack, is not going to help you out against heavy blitzes. That's my point. Being able to handle a heavy blitz scheme like the Steelers, he needs to be able to process it mentally, understand it's coming, know where the ball needs to go, and just be mentally look like he's taken the right step mentally, knowing that he has the same system, he's comfortable, a sense of poise, a sense of no happy feet in the pocket. Like, that's what I want to see from Zach Wilson. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen right away, but I do want to see something where he has poise, he's comfortable. Like, for example, Trevor Lawrence, first overall pick, he's taken that year 2 leap. Justin Fields, year 2, not taking that year 2 leap. So which one is it going to be for Zach Wilson? Is it going to be the Trevor Lawrence leap, or is it going to be the Justin Fields leap? We'll find out.
Let's hope for a positive leap.
Yeah, bro.
The fact that the Jaguars are 2-1 and that they beat the Chargers by 28 points yesterday in their own home stadium on the opposite coast of the country. But what can you do, man? What can you do?
Oh my gosh, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Jack, you're free to head out of here whenever you can. I know you want to join for an hour.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna make some lunch. I am thinking about some Trader Joe's vegetable bird's nests. Hyped about that.
There we go.
Thank you for having me on, man. Appreciate it. Thank you to everybody in the chat. It's been a fun hour. And, Richie's about to hold it down. So I appreciate you guys. And let's go Jets, man. As I said, hope is still in the air, baby. 2-2 coming out of this AFC North trip, baby. What do you know about it? Let's see it.
2-2, baby. Jack, we appreciate you. Everyone say farewell to Jack in the chat. We appreciate you as always, my man. And I'll talk to you later, bro.
Yeah, I'll see you later, bro. Peace.
Peace out. All right, guys. So we're going to continue the live stream here as we transition to this look. So to finish off the stream, we're going to get into Jets Q&A. I want to hear your guys' thoughts in the chat. Also going to take some live callers. So listen, man, I know that Jets fans are really pissed off right now after their performance yesterday, but it's time to hear what you guys have to say in the chat. So we're going to open this up to a Jets Q&A. Anybody that has a question, let me know in the chat, and I'll try to get to as many as possible. Remember, Super Chats, they skip the line, and they get priority and go first. So let me know in the chat any questions you may have regarding the New York Jets game yesterday, and we'll try to get to as many as possible. Hawk says, so sad about Quincy Williams' broken ankle. I'm not sure if there's an update, but it definitely looked like a broken ankle. Not what you want to see there. So I hope that he's okay. Ooh, breaking news for the Chargers. Rashawn Slater out for the season with a ruptured bicep. That's terrible for the Chargers. Wow. Hate to see that. So the Jets are still waiting for the evaluation from the doctors with George Fant's knee. So there's an update on George Fant. Bench Corey Davis, activate Mims. He's hungry along with Garrett Wilson. It'll allow more to play in space in the slot. Yeah, man. I know that Jets fans want a lot of change here. I wish we can get Denzel Mims on the field, man. I'm right there with you. I love Mims. I wish we can just see what he's got. I hope Zach can bring a nice boost of energy this week. I feel like a lot of players are down. We're going to need it. Yeah, this is a big test for this Jets team, man. We're coming off a big win against the Browns. Now it's time for this Jets team to understand that it's not all doom and gloom. Right? How can they bounce back after a tough loss? Richie, I was there, and Flacco needs to just sit on the couch again. Sorry, we're working through some lagging here. My apologies. Hopefully it gets cleaned up. It looks to be better now. The safeties are garbage, and Flacco got to go. Hell yeah, man. The safeties have been a big disappointment. Jordan Whitehead has not been good this year. The one thing that, we're expecting from Jordan Whitehead is to be a good tackler and to be able to be a hard hitter and be good against the run. Didn't really expect him to do anything in the coverage scheme of things, but he's been really bad. And LaMarcus Joyner has been even worse. I agree with Davis Berrios, but he's supposed to be the man. Mims needs a chance. Mims does need a chance, man. D-line rotation sucks. Max Mitchell is good. Yeah, so the defensive line rotation is very interesting. Now, Quinnen Williams is our best player on that defensive line, and he's on the field, 60% of the time? I don't agree with that. I think the Jets need to get Quinnen Williams on the field more. I know that they like to keep everyone fresh, but something's got to give, man. Steelers are 0-5 without TJ Watt. If we give them their first win, we are going to be in shambles. I think they're 0-6, actually. Listen, we have to realize that this is not going to be an easy game for the Jets. The Steelers are a very well-coached team. The reason why I do like our chances in that game is because their offense is struggling, and I think this could be the game where the Jets' defense gets back on track, but that's asking for a lot. Richie, did we seriously win against the AFC champions? I'm assuming you mean, did you think that we'll win yesterday? And that's why I do not think it's the end of the world right now. I know that some Jets fans think, the sky is falling and the season's over. But even before this game on Friday, I said, guys, if we lose against the Bengals, I don't think that it's the end of the world. Like, we got a big dub against the Browns. The Bengals are a hungry 0-2 team coming up on the road against the Jets, who beat them last year. They have a lot to prove, and there's a lot to fix. But I just simply do not think that the sky is falling just yet. I'll hit the panic button when I think it's necessary. I just don't think it was. Those 2 field goals should have been touchdowns, or at least ones you should have be a touchdown. And we would have been winning 10-7 at the end of the first quarter. Yeah, I agree, man. The Jets couldn't capitalize on that Jamar Chase fumble, and we just get 3 points. We couldn't capitalize. The offense just disappointed, man. Offense was disappointing. If we should have run, if we converted on half our offense. Yeah, I agree. Another big thing that frustrates me, guys, to start off the year is that this Jets team cannot establish a run game, bro. This Jets team could not establish a damn running game. And I think a lot of that has to do with his defense giving up a touchdown on the first drive of every game, where you're playing from behind. And when you play from behind, you're not going to be able to establish a run game. So that's really where it comes down to. Richie, this is the Steelers team that beat us not once, but twice in the AFC Championship. I don't see a chance here. Yeah, man. Listen, I think the Steelers beat us once in the AFC Championship game. The other time was against the Colts. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, it's just because the Steelers are struggling and they have Mitch Trubisky, don't make it seem like, and they don't have TJ Watt, it's going to be an easy win. It's not going to be an easy win for the Jets. Let's be real with ourselves. We're an 0-3 team except for a broken play. Hey, John, we did more than that broken play. We capitalized on an onside kick. We had a game-winning drive, and then we played defense. I know that we had a miraculous win. I get that. But that win was definitely impressive, the way that they were able to capitalize. We need to add Richard Sherman to the DB room. I mean, the DBs, I'll speak for the corners, have been a positive for this team. The safeties have not. So, commit to the run no matter what. Don't panic until mid-third and then go pass happy. Yeah, it really is frustrating, man. I really feel like this Jets team has so much potential on the ground, and they're just not showing it. They're not allowed to just run the ball. You have Breece Hall averaging 5 yards per carry. He only gets 7 attempts. Like, what is that? Like, it's really frustrating that Breece Hall gets 7 carries. He's way too talented to just get 7 carries. What was that Davis penalty? They lost feed on television when we were driving. Oh, you don't even want to know, dude. I saw it this morning. It's going to make Jets fans want to rip their hair out. It was 2nd and 6. Flacco threw the ball incomplete in the red zone. And then after the play, for no reason, Corey Davis grabs a face mask of the Bengals player and is tugging it and pushes him. And then he gets called for unnecessary roughness. Bro. That, he deserves, I don't know what he deserves, but that was just terrible, bro. King Blaze sees the vision, baby. 2-2. Let's go. We beating the Steelers. I love the energy. Daniel says Zach Wilson's going to save us. Now, this is the scary part. Now, like, Zach Wilson's coming back. I'm not expecting Zach to come and just save us and just save this franchise from misery. But I am expecting him to play good football. Not, lighting up the league or anything, but Zach Wilson needs to prove that he is worth the 2nd overall pick, number 1. You're going up against Mitch Trubisky, who is not a good quarterback, going up against a terrible offense in the Pittsburgh Steelers, one of the worst offenses in football. So the Jets have a chance to get the defense back on track against this struggling Steelers offense. Now, Zach Wilson has to go up against a really good defense in the Steelers. Even though they don't have TJ Watt, they're still a very good defense. So I love that Zach is returning, but don't make it seem like he's just going to come out here and just save the day. Coaching. Look at what Peterson has done for the Jaguars. I just don't think we have the right guys. I wish I was wrong. Yeah, listen, Robert Saleh and the coaching staff has a lot to prove. They have not proved their worth yet. And Jets fans have they have a right to not believe in this coaching staff yet. Now, I haven't given up on the coaching staff yet. I still believe in their message. I still believe in what they're trying to preach here. But, Jets fans are going to be losing patience very fast if this continues. And that's really what it comes down to. Losing Williams at linebacker is a big loss. He's a run stopper. Hell yeah, man. That's a big loss. He was one of the only defensive players that was stepping up yesterday. And, of course, he gets injured. Do you think Saleh gets fired after this year if they keep playing stupid football and make dumb mistakes because it's on the coaching? Now, I personally do not think Saleh is going to get fired this year unless it just the rest of the season we play like we did yesterday defensively with bad mistakes and we get blown out every game. We win like 4 or 5 games. That's the only way. I think that this Jets ownership is going to give this regime 3 years minimum to figure it out because when you're a young team and you're building the way that they're doing through the draft, it's really hard to build something special in only 2 years. But at the same token, you cannot play football with the way that they played yesterday throughout the whole season. Like, we have to put in something in perspective right here, guys. We have not seen the full potential of this Jets team yet. Zach Wilson is returning. Zach Wilson is the starting quarterback. The Jets go 1-2 with their backup. Now's the time to see what Zach Wilson can do. Now, I'm not saying Zach Wilson is going to come and save the team, but now we get an opportunity to show what the potential is with this team, with Zach Wilson. He's the 2nd overall pick, and now it's time for Zach to prove that he was worth that 2nd overall pick and elevate the guys around him. It's that simple. It's that simple. This is what I'm trying to say. It's 3 games without our starting quarterback. There's no need to panic yet. I am not hitting the panic button. I know a lot of Jets fans are, and I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm not here to skew you one way or the other, but I'm personally don't think the sky is falling. We have not seen the full potential of this team yet because Zach Wilson's not been out in the field. When Zach Wilson returns, and if Zach starts struggling and the offense looks terrible and we're still losing games, then you'll see me panicking. But as of right now, I'm not panicking just yet. So that's why I feel like Jets fans got to be, understand the big picture here. But at the end of the day, I'm not expecting you guys to just blindly believe in this coaching staff when they haven't proved anything. Did you really think we were going to go 3-0 with Flacco? That's what I'm saying, Hennessy. I wasn't. We're lucky that we have one win with Flacco. Wilson can't read the defenses they throw at him, and his line won't give him time. Flacco at least had pre-snap information. Hey, man, you can't really say that yet. We saw a rookie Zach Wilson. We don't know if Zach Wilson can do that yet. I would say we don't know if Zach Wilson can read defense. It's not a fact just yet. Let's hope that Zach can prove it. Jack opted for potato skins over the vegetable bird's nest. Let's go, Jets. Enjoy your lunch, Jack. Does anyone know if there's a solid press conference later today? I don't know. Please stop with the Sean Payton talk early this season. Do you guys want free brews too? Yeah, I'm not bringing up Sean Payton once, bro. Like, I'm not going to do that. I was there front row. Can't do nothing with an immobilized quarterback. With that, Zach should spark the offense and get something going. Yeah, I think a lot of people are underestimating the difference that Zach Wilson's going to make to this team. Broken down plays. We have playmakers that can get loose and make some really big things. Like you saw Joe Burrow yesterday. The pocket collapses on Joe Burrow, and he's rolling to his left, rolling to his right, extending plays and picking up explosive plays down the field. Zach Wilson can do just that. Exactly. At least Zach Wilson can run, no more statues. So I'm trying to say, man, I'm not expecting Zach Wilson to just save the day, save this team, but he has a chance to open up this offense to another dimension that we haven't seen yet this season because of his mobility, because of his arm strength. At least Zach is mobile. Flacco is a statue. Exactly. Burrow's pocket didn't collapse. LOL. Watch the replay at 100% protection. He just bailed because he's a spaz. Well, no, man. I mean, based on what I saw, the pocket was, I was like, oh my God, we're going to sack him. We're going to sack him. And then for some reason, he just tucks the ball and he's sitting there and nobody puts his hand on Burrow and he just rolls to his right and rolls to his left. So it was frustrating, man. Really, really frustrating. I got to rewatch the game. So I haven't really rewatched it. So maybe it didn't collapse as much as I thought. Do you think Zach will target Elijah Moore more often? EM is killing my fantasy team. Same, Daniel. I think so, man. I think the Jets really need to get Elijah Moore involved. More crossing routes, enough with the outside, 50-50 balls. It's really, really frustrating. Elijah Moore is open a lot, but the ball's not going to him when he's open. For some reason, Flacco's targeting him when he's not open. And watch the film. It's proof that Elijah Moore is beating his guys when he is open. The ball doesn't go his way. Who do you think will replace Quincy on offense? Do you mean defense? It's going to be Marcel Harris. Thank God Garrett is okay. Hell yeah, Nest. That was scary. That's true. Burrow saved his drives plenty of times. His movement was clean in the pocket. Yeah, man. Score prediction, too early for that. Is it time to return the sideline LaFleur? I think Salah misses him. Nah, man. We need him up there. This coaching staff is too concerning to ignore. Over a 20-game span, there is no production and little improvement. Our wins are close. Our losses are blowouts. The receipts are piling up. Yeah, man, a lot of questions are piling up about the coaching staff, no doubt. I can get the old fence is sputtering, but we have the most expensive D-line in the league. There's no excuse for that. You're right. There is no excuse for that. For the fact that this Jets edge rushers have no full sack is ridiculous. The interior D line is getting their pressure. Quentin Williams doing his job. Sheldon Rankins gets a sack. But where's the edges? Where's Carl Lawson at? It's ridiculous. You're right. We're open as a 3.5-point dogs on the road against the Steelers. The books have us more favored than the Bengals. Very possible win. It's possible, man, but this Jets team really got to get their shit together. D-line is not winning their one-on-one. That's why they can't finish. Yeah, I feel like Quentin Williams is the only one that I've seen win consistently his one-on-ones. The only one. So, guys, we're going to wrap up the stream here. If you guys are enjoying the stream, please do me a favor and hit that like button. It really does help out the channel a ton if you can hit that like button if you did not already on your way into the show. I wanted to finish it off with a Jets Q&A. We had Jack on the show briefly to give his thoughts on all the latest things about the Jets. Listen, man, to finish off the stream, definitely disappointing. We have a big concern at the left tackle spot. The offense cannot come through in the clutch. The defense started off terrible, and they come out there in the second half to really help out this team. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of things to scratch your head about what we saw yesterday. We have Zach Wilson potentially returning this week against the Steelers. And very disappointing stuff from the Jets, man. Another blowout defeat at home. And now we have to go up against the Steelers, and then we're back home against a division rival, Miami Dolphins, who's 3-0. So the Jets have a lot of things to work on, a lot of things to clean up, a lot of things to fix. So we're going to be breaking everything down. Quick little schedule for Jets Media this week. Tomorrow we'll be doing the stock report. Who is trending up? Who's trending down on the Jets? Who's looking like they're trending in the right direction? Who's trending in the wrong direction for the Jets on the coaching staff and the Jets players? Wednesday, we're going to watch the entire game over in the film room. Thursday will be the flight preview, of course, and we're going to get deeper into all the little nits and gritties of what we saw yesterday for the Jets and the Bengals. So I appreciate all the support, guys, on Jets Media. It really does mean a lot. We broke down so much on the stream. So whether you're watching it live or watching a replay, I genuinely appreciate each and every one of you guys. And again, please do not forget to hit that like button if you did not already. And Jets Media signing out. I'll catch you guys next time. And don't hang your heads too low, guys. I simply do not think that the sky is falling just yet. There's still a lot of room to grow. We finally get our starting quarterback back in action next week against the Steelers. Let's see what the full potential is before we get before we start hanging our heads. All right? Season's not over yet. It's just 3 games. We're 1-2. Hopefully we can get back on track on Sunday, which it won't be easy, but we're going to break it all down here on the channel, of course. I love you guys. Let's go Jets. Catch you guys next time.